John, there's a new theme song playing. It's dramatic.
There's this idea that in
Indeed.
portraiture is...
Sorry, some other video started playing. Oh, an ad. I don't understand. How does YouTube demonetize my videos and then start playing ads the second we go live?
Fascinating.
Yeah. Anyway, back to your theme song. This is the new John Cullen theme song. I like it. How are you, John? Can you hear me? John?
Yeah, I'm also hearing a delay.
On what?
I'm hearing a delay of our broadcast. I'm hearing our broadcast twice.
That's something happening at your end. You must have YouTube on or something. How could you be hearing that? That's interesting. You should not hear that, I don't think.
All right, let me close my browser. I'll close my browser. Hang on.
Must have something
I think
open.
that's the problem.
Welcome, everybody.
Yeah, I have to...
You could just mute it or something like that. So this is our YouTube preview. We have a number of things to discuss today, John. The first thing I wanted to bring up is that after last week's show, I was, there was a chat disruption going on. We had the Las Vegas Shooting Archive was with us in the chat. And there was a bit of a miscommunication between you and I because you had said something that I improperly interpreted as a definitive statement that Las Vegas Shooting Archive had edited videos. Why don't you clarify what the statement was, and we will give our official retraction and apology to Las Vegas Shooting Archive for that specific statement.
Well, I don't know that I've made any definitive statements. I made a video effectively showing that there was, or there were two versions of a specific eyewitness video. One that I found that had been published, I guess, in Canada, and then another version that Las Vegas Shooting Archive had published that had been cropped. And I think what I asked in the video was why would anybody do that? Now, there's an inference there, but there's certainly there's not an accusation. So I'm not sure who did it. But certainly the version of the video.
I may have said, because I left the conversation thinking that the statement was that he had done that. So for my part, in misinterpreting what you said and possibly sharing something incorrect, I apologize to Las Vegas Shooting Archive. I have not seen evidence that he's edited anything. I possibly misunderstood what you were telling me, but do we want to talk a little bit more about the incident and what's going on there? Or, I mean, Las Vegas Shooting Archive came into the comments and was not making evidence-based, intelligent contributions to the conversation there. He was just sort of saying that you're lying and you have no evidence, and that's not correct. He might not like the evidence, but that doesn't make it not evidence.
Yeah, Las Vegas Shooting Archive seems to disagree with most, if not all, of my observations. So I guess we can leave it at that, right?
Right. Well, in my conversation with him, he sort of oscillated between representing himself as somebody who merely was aggregating footage and putting it out there for people to see, and alternately sharing his opinions and conclusions, which I basically said if he wants to represent himself as somebody who's just aggregating footage, then he can't reasonably expect to come into the comments and make editorial commentary about what he thinks about you. He's definitely engaging in a debate, and he should have some evidence if he wants to properly debate you. So I spoke to him on the phone. I wanted to feel him out. I don't think he's a social engineer. I think he's a regular guy who is, obviously everybody is very passionate about this. Either they know people who have been injured, or this guy lives in Vegas, so, this is an attack on American City, and I can understand people having strong opinions about it, but if we want to have a productive conversation that moves everybody forward, you can't just decide who you like and who you don't like and then believe that person based on your warm, fuzzy feeling. You've got to critically evaluate this evidence, and I can tell you that Las Vegas Shooting Archive did not have strong counter-arguments to meet your arguments, and I still feel that the totality of what you've presented represents the best explanation of what went on October 1st that we've seen so far.
Well, I'm still waiting for a cogent alternative hypothesis. And the reason that I stayed away from the camera and didn't show my face until the 2nd-year anniversary is because I'm not a likable guy. I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here for you to like me.
You're a likable guy.
No, I'm not. I'm a nasty, grouchy, that's what I'm here to go through evidence. And I want to hold people accountable for people's deaths. That's what we're dealing with. I mean, this is heavy stuff. So I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here for people to like me. And, this is heavy stuff. When I took the nom de plume, John Cullen, I knew this wasn't going to be received well. That was the whole idea, right? I knew nobody was going to want to hear this news, that this was going to be, swept away. Yeah. That's why I chose the nom de plume. It's the same story. It's the same thing that happened to him back in 1941. So at the end of the day, I know what I know because of the amount of time that I've spent researching it and digging into the content. And I feel very strongly that people who are in the way of this story breaking, people who counter the hypothesis that I put forward but don't have an alternative cogent hypothesis, they counter it with social engineering and just nonsense.
Ad hominem
and so
attacks
for
on
me,
you.
Exactly. And so what ends up happening is that my content ends up getting taken less seriously. And when my content is taken less seriously, we then see ramifications. So in other words, 2 years ago, I published a video asking if a Saudi prince ordered the attack in Las Vegas. And I called attention to the fact that we invite Saudis to train here. And I used the event at Nellis where we have Operation Red Flag. And so using that as an example, and Frank Muth and the OPM sang, I was calling attention to the fact that we invite the Saudis here to train and ask the question, is that prudent? And now 2 years later, because my research has not been taken seriously, we now have dead kids. We've got dead soldiers in Pensacola. If this had been taken seriously 2 years ago when I presented it, the program would have been stopped then rather than now. Now today, we have a report that the Pentagon has said that they've done background checks on everybody from Saudi Arabia, and everybody checks out, and there's no imminent threat. And that came out today.
Interesting.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, how could they check every single Saudi person in the United States? I mean, that's pretty stupid. But, I mean, Pentagon has screened every Saudi trainee, and this is what they've found. Well, I don't understand why we have foreign military training here at all. I don't like that idea.
Well, I brought this up 2 years ago. And so this is why this isn't a game. When people get in my way, people die. In other words, if you're going to counter this argument and question my credibility and question my work, bring better work to the table. Let's see your work. Let's see your math. Let's see your better work. But right now, the fact that people are not taking this work seriously, the fact that this story has not broken, leads to 850 students from Saudi Arabia are in the country today. Now, I'm not saying they're all bad apples, but is there a possibility that there are more of them that are sympathetic to what happened in Pensacola? And I think the risk is too great compared to the reward. The reward is that we're trying to do cultural transfer to these guys so that they know a little bit more what it's like to be American. I just don't know that it's working. And I don't know that the benefit there is as important as this risk. So they suspended these guys' training But again, this was Air Station Pensacola. This is the Saudi Army and Air Force. This doesn't talk about the SANG, right? So when you start getting into the details, are there really 850 here, or are there more? And are there some that are here training privately outside of the Army and the Air Force?
And do we believe
and I don't
the
know
Pentagon?
the answer, but we know. Right. Yeah, so the Pentagon saying they did these background checks and everything checks out fine. In other words, if I were in that press conference, my first question is, so with these background checks that you did, you would have been tipped off to this guy ahead of time. So he would have stood out based on these checks that you just did, right? And you would have done what?
Yeah.
Right. So, right. So somebody says I'm stealing people's work and I'm a shill. Okay, that's
Someone's
fascinating.
saying that
Whose work
on
did I
your
steal?
chat. Right. So what we've got
Yeah,
going now,
John
John,
steals people's work and is a shill.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pointless comment. So what I'm pointing out here is that I just wanted people who are subscribers to the John E. Hoover YouTube channel to be aware that we've taken to simulcasting the YouTube previews on the John E. Hoover channel. If you aren't yet a subscriber, search for John E. Hoover on YouTube and click the subscribe button. You can get involved with the chat people there. It gives everybody now a new opportunity to socially engineer us. Yeah, a lot of trolls coming in there. Well, we'll worry about that later. You're right, John. I think these people who think it's fun and funny to screw around in social media and on YouTube and to dox people and to accuse people of stuff and to say that you are or are not something, or that you are living somewhere or not living somewhere, to get your kid on the phone and dox him in Thai, you know, that is shameful behavior. Those people have skulked away and stopped bringing forward important information, but the social engineering continues. Field McConnell is in jail right now, so I think people are starting to realize that this is not a joke, this is not a game. As you say, there was another incident with Saudi military personnel. We're operating on the hypothesis that the October 1st Las Vegas shooting was a Saudi military operation, and we invite sensible people with factual evidence to join us in the chat, to join us in this process, to help us try to refine this theory and figure it out. Now, if someone can come to us with definitive evidence and information that refutes things that you've said, we will integrate that into the research. There's a couple other things you wanted to talk about. We've only got a few more minutes here before we transition over to the sponsor exclusive show on patreon.com/IamJohnCullen, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and also on Subscribestar. What did we want to cover here on YouTube before we do that, John?
Let's take a look at some of those items that I sent you. What looks good?
Right.
I sent you a couple things today.
Got quite a few here. There were images and things from, I got a folder here.
Well, I launched a video. I just put a video out, I guess about half an hour, 45 minutes ago, about that drone that we talked about last week. There was a drone over the venue, and I just published a video about that. Right.
Mm-hmm. Now, one thing I like about what we're doing is that you tell me a topic, but I don't know what the outcome will necessarily be. So if people haven't seen this video yet, Las Vegas shooting investigation, is that a drone being launched from the venue? That's a new video on the John E. Hoover YouTube channel. Tell us what we know about that, John.
Yeah, this just came out about 45 minutes ago. It only has less than 500 views and a handful of comments. So one of the viewers pointed out in the footage from the foundation room that it appeared that there was a drone taking off from the venue, something like a DJI Phantom or a Mavic or something like that. And I pulled up the footage and brought it up on the big screen and drilled into it and studied it. And as I spent a fair amount of time with it, it became clear that it was not a drone and that it was something else. But in the process of doing it, in order to understand the timing, I synced this video with the Corey Langdon video. This is the comment. You see the comment from one of the viewers. So this is the We Are John Cullen crowdsourcing.
Yep.
So the net of this is I synced it with Corey Langdon's video, and in Corey Langdon's video, there's a moment where there's some gunfire, and she says that sounds like it's further away.
Yeah.
And that gunfire, all right, so that gunfire is not heard in the foundation room. And so this discovery happens as I'm looking for the drone and I'm trying to just get the time clock synced and all that kind of thing. And I realize, wait a second, Corey hears the gunshots. The people up in the foundation room are hearing all the other gunshots. And then all of a sudden there's a bunch of gunshots that they don't hear, but Corey Langdon does hear. Now, all of the shots from 32-134 have been accounted for, and they were individual shots. There was no rapid fire from 32-134. Because only eight cases were recovered from that room, right?
Yeah.
So there's no machine gun stuff or supposed bump fire going off because it's just individual shots. So what that means is all of this rapid fire stuff has to be coming from one window, 32-135. Well, if the viewers who are up in the foundation room hear gunfire, and then there's a burst of gunfire that they don't hear, but it's recorded on a different microphone elsewhere, and then they hear the rest of the gunfire. How would that be if all that gunfire is coming from the same location?
Yeah.
There's no explanation for that.
Right.
So that becomes clear. And so this becomes evidence that the gunfire that Corey Langdon is hearing in the video that's not being heard up in the foundation room must be coming from a different location. It can't be coming from the same window or the people in the foundation room would hear it.
How does that pertain to the possibility of a drone?
It doesn't at all. It's an accidental discovery on the way to the drone investigation.
Got it.
And so, again, using these synchronized videos, I'll tell you that I go back and I rewatch my own stuff from a year ago, a year and a half ago.
Right.
And I see things I didn't see then. All the time. So going back and rewatching old footage, I have this little thing on my desk here called a Stream Deck.
Oh yeah.
And with the Stream Deck, I can hit one button and I can pull up Tall Ace of Spades. I can hit one button and I pull up Raymond Page. Right? I hit one button and Dan Bilzerian pops up. So I have these videos literally like as single keystrokes a fingertip away, so that I can bring them up at a moment's notice, and then I can bring up the synchronized versions of them that are synced to the body cams or what have you. So studying these videos again and again and again and again, when one of the people in the audience said, "Hey, I think I see a drone out there," and I mentioned it last week on the show, I said, "My God, it looks like one. It really does." And so this is what we're looking for. This is the DJI Mavic. And we go looking in the footage to see if can we see one of these things out there. And I stumbled across the Corey Langdon thing in the process, but now you're going to get to see why the audience thought this could be a drone. And I thought it was a drone last week until I spent, I don't know, a couple hours, hour and a half, 2 hours on this.
We've only got about a minute until we transition over to patreon.com/IamJohnCullen and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. What's the punchline here, John? Is it a drone or not a drone?
Well, definitively 100%, I can tell you it's not a drone.
How do you know?
So I'd encourage people, to go watch the video.
I see the thing
there. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So there's no question it looked like a drone. So once I studied it, I realized it's not, and it's 100% definitive that it's not.
Is it a bird?
So
I don't on the camera.
No, it's not. I encourage people to go watch the video.
There you go.
And you'll find out. You'll find out in the video.
People should get onto YouTube and check out the John E. Hoover YouTube channel. You should also make your way over to patreon.com/IamJohnCullen. patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, or the Subscribestar pages for each of those, to watch our sponsor-exclusive video that's going to be starting just 10 minutes from now. John, we're going to be going in depth on some more details related to your plan to create a campaign to seek the impeachment of Sheriff Joe Lombardo. I'll see you over there on Patreon in 10 minutes. Thanks for joining me. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Anything you want to say real quick before we end it?
Looking forward to the conversation about the Nevada Attorney General. It's going to be real good over at Patreon and Subscribestar. If you're not a member, for $1 a month, you can join at Patreon. So thank you, everybody.
All right, take care. We'll see everybody over there. Thanks for watching.